So today, Shams Charania confirms that Jimmy Butler reiterated his trade request in a face-to-face meeting with Pat Riley. And Chris Haynes confirmed that Jimmy Butler is prepared to come back and play for the Heat once his suspension ends. And that concludes your not new at all breaking news regarding the Jimmy Butler saga. Because I'm really not here to spam the Jimmy Butler content with all the same stories that are getting passed around day by day like a lot of other Heat content creators. I'm here to talk about a much bigger problem that the Miami Heat have. And that problem's name is Terry Rozier. Exactly 2 months ago, I made a video titled "The Terry Rozier Experiment is Over, ... Or is it? And in that video, I was pretty optimistic in Terry Rozier turning his season around when I said things like this. I just think Terry Rozier's too skilled an offensive player to keep playing this poor. Well, boy was I wrong. Because in the 2 months since that video was posted, Terry Rozier is averaging 11 points per game, 2 assists to 1.5 turnovers, which is awful, a terrible 40% from the field, and an even worse 25% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. And it's gotten even worse in the last month, because in the last month, Terry Rozier is averaging 1 more point per game. He's up to 12 per game, which is not good enough. He's averaging 2.5 assists to 2 turnovers. He's averaging the same 40% from the field, but now he's at 18% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. It's gotten worse than we could have ever imagined. And even in the last 2 games, Terry Rozier hit 1 3 in each game. And in the game versus Portland, the only 3 he hit, he banked in. And then in the last game against the LA Clippers, it bounced on the rim like 9 times, like Kawhi's shot. So even the last 2 threes Terry hit were lucky as hell, or that percentage would be even worse. So needless to say, Terry Rozier's performance this season, for lack of a better word, has been scary. But in all seriousness, the reason I'm making this video now is because there was a specific play 2 games ago when the Heat beat Portland that has still kept me up at night. So let's fast forward to the very first possession of that 4th quarter. You can see Terry Rozier starts with the ball here, and by the time he passes the ball, 9 seconds on the shot clock have passed. So there's only 15 seconds on the shot clock by the time he actually passes the ball. But then it's once he actually passes the ball that you get some great ball movement. Jovic and Duncan Robinson run a little bit of a pick and roll, although Jovic bobbles the catch a little bit. That's why he resets up top to Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson now draws 2 defenders because he's such a great shooter. That's the gravity that we always talk about. But Jovic kind of slips the screen. Duncan is able to hit him on the roll. And now Jovic draws 2 defenders, and he's able to find Khalil Ware up top for the easy dunk. And you can see this is just beautiful offensive execution to start the 4th quarter. Now, this was the very next possession in the 4th quarter. Just take a look. Do I even need to say anything? Because as you can see, you don't have to be no Brady Hogg, basketball analysis, Coach Spo, video coordinator expert to see that all this play was, if you can even call it a play, was an awful Terry Rozier forced transition, heavily contested crossover step back 3 with no ball movement. And actually, it wasn't even a 3. It was a long 2. He had his toe on the line. Not to mention that the guy taking that shot, like we just said, is shooting an awful percentage this year. So needless to say, this is an awful shot. And you compare that with the literal previous possession to start that 4th quarter, and it's night and day in terms of shot quality. And that's been my biggest problem with him this year, and it's been the most frustrating thing about being a Heat fan this season. And remind you, this is the season where our star player just demanded a trade. Yes, I'm more frustrated with Terry Rozier. It's been so noticeable how bad his offensive IQ is that even John Crotty, the nicest guy in the world, color commentator for the Miami Heat, has even been getting annoyed about it during the games. You can hear him constantly question in the nice way that he does, "Oh, that's a little bit of a difficult look for Terry Rozier there," which I'll be the John Crotty translation for you. And what he's trying to say is that's a dumbass shot. Terry Rozier is always passing up wide open catch and shoot threes to do that terrible sidestep fadeaway 3 for no reason. I even have the numbers here. Terry Rozier this season on catch and shoot from 3 is at 33%, which obviously is still not good at all. But you compare that to his pull-up three-pointer, which is at 26%. It's a lot worse than his catch and shoot 3. So why he continues to pass up open looks to do that terrible sidestep, I don't know. And while I was looking through some more advanced stats on Terry Rozier, I also found this. You can see when Terry Rozier takes between 0 and 2 dribbles, his three-point percentage is around 29 to 33%. But as soon as he takes 3 or more dribbles, it drops all the way under 22%. That is an 11 percentage point difference when he starts pounding the ball and playing that, ooh, he nice basketball game. That's just stupid basketball by a guy who stagnates the offense, doesn't look for anybody else, and just makes the offense a miserable product to watch. And it's not just his three-point shot that isn't falling, it's everything. Here's his shot chart from this season. You can see the bigger the circle is, the more attempts he has in that range. And of course, his most attempts are at the rim, which is nice to see because Terry Rozier is still a shifty point guard. He has great handle and he's capable of getting to the rim, but he's only shooting 52% from the rim, which on this website, if you hover over that, it tells you that that's worse than 74% of players in the entire league. His 52.2% of the rim, which it does classify as a bad performance. So you could look at these stats all day and find a million advanced stats to prove this point, or you could just watch the footage.
That game, whoever thought about that?
Terry Rozier drives, here he comes, slinging up, figure score.
It's Rozier. Rozier!
Have that level of talent. Offensive rebounds, Rozier left him, they close him out.
Stepped out a little too far, gave up the left.
And I'm not just cherry picking videos. When I went to my NBA Clips website, it's called highlow.io. You can search any player you want and any type of shot. All I did was search Terry Rozier missed layups, and instantly dozens upon dozens of clips loaded up that I could use for this video. The 10 clips that I showed y'all, that's just a small fraction of the missed layups that Terry Rozier has had this season. And the unfortunate part is, when the Heat traded for Terry Rozier last year, he was supposed to help with the scoring. Now, I understand it was sort of a panic move because you had to move off of Kyle Lowry, things were getting a little bit ugly, and it did seem like a fine, here, damn trade, since the Heat fans were all mad that no moves have been made in like 3 seasons. So I understand it was a bit of a panic move, but he still was supposed to help the scoring. This Heat team last year obviously struggled a ton on the offensive side of the ball. So the Heat said, hey, let's trade a first-round pick to get this guy in Charlotte that's dropping 21 points per night. Because at the very least, he's going to take shots. And that's not something that Kyle Lowry was doing. But I could have never imagined that just the following season, Terry Rozier would be this bad at scoring the basketball. And that was just a critical miss by the Miami Heat, because we know we had almost no assets to begin with, only a couple of first-round picks to spare, and you wasted one of them on Terry Rozier, whose impact has been nothing but negative. And it's really sad too, because Terry was so excited to be here. He mentioned many times how he grew up a big Dwayne Wade fan. That was his guy. He said that he had been wanting to be on the Miami Heat for years. It seemed like it was going to be a perfect fit. And there was points early on in his Heat tenure where he was playing really well. I mean, I was actually at the game in Cleveland last year where Terry Rozier hit a 4-point play for the win. It was one of the most fun moments I've had at a game in a long time. I was super hyped. There has been games where we've seen Terry catch fire. I remember against Dallas last year and against the Thunder last year where he was the only one scoring. So it hasn't all been bad, but this season, it actually has been pretty much all bad. We really haven't seen any bright moments like we did last year. And now the Heat sit here with a year and a half left on that pretty big Terry Rozier contract. The rest of this year, he's making about $25 million. And next year, at the age of 31 years old, he'll be making $26 million. I don't think it's a super immovable contract just because he's an expiring contract next year. So although it may be hard to actually trade him this season, I do think in the offseason it might be more likely to move off of him, which is the goal because that would be a lot of money that the Heat are freeing up, in addition to obviously Jimmy Butler's money likely coming off the books. Now, is there any hope for a turnaround? I mean, there has to be, simply because there's no way in hell, and I know I said this in the video 2 months ago, but there's no way in hell he can keep playing this bad. He's never been particularly a super efficient player. Even the year in Charlotte before we traded for him, or the year prior, he was only shooting like 42% from the field and 33% from three. But for his career, he's 36% from three. And that's a lot higher than the 29% we're seeing this season with the Heat. So I'd like to believe that at some point he's going to get it going. Is there some reasons for his struggles? Maybe. He kind of had the weird neck injury in the playoffs last season. We have no idea what the hell happened with that. Just one day he was out for like a couple months, and then one day they said he's back, and it did take quite a while for him to get back to playing on the court. So maybe he's still dealing with that, but in general, I just have to believe that it's going to get slightly better simply because it can't get worse. And as a Heat fan, it has to be, if you want to win games at least. Because we just saw this team struggle mightily versus the LA Clippers. They had 3 baskets in the second quarter yesterday. And if this Heat team has any chance to win anything this season, if they want to win a playoff series, if they want to even make the playoffs, because that's not a guarantee at this point, they're going to need more out of Terry Rozier. That's just the facts of it. But anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. Let me know what y'all think down below. Do you think Terry Rozier will turn it around? Do you want him off the team yesterday? Let me know down below. I'll be reading everybody's comments. Make sure y'all like and subscribe because all the support is greatly appreciated. I did post a Jimmy Butler video yesterday if y'all want to hear some more about that. And the day before that, I actually posted my Jimmy Butler versus Pat Riley epic rap battles of history. The comments have really loved it so far. So if y'all haven't checked it out, make sure you go see that too. But other than that, the Heat play the Lakers tomorrow. So I'll see y'all with a post game after that. So peace out until then.
Pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.